Has this ever happened before?
No!
Dude, this is like the attack of a villain about to shoot up everyone. Dude, we've seen 13 police today. They've all been shit. And he's not pulling over. We'll end this right now if we could. Dude, make sure he doesn't start capping police.
Hey, he's taking a bad one.
Dude, he's gonna start robbing everyone.
Taking a...
Oh, his car broke. Said Eddie Murphy was in the RoboCop movie. I don't remember that part, but I think he was in RoboCop. He could beat Terminator. It's like Tony Stark's heart before it goes out is like flashing, and that means like his transmission's going. He operated on himself as like his heart went out. And in Mortal Kombat, the only human that stayed alive through the very end was Nightwolf. So in entire Earthrealm, that means that Nightwolf can withstand anyone and be able to be at the final to get the crown with Liu Kang and the Emperor of the Netherrealm, Nightwolf. But Nightwolf might be a shaman from way past when Earth was first made, but we don't really know. Since he could turn into a wolf, you know, that's what one of his abilities. It's not voodoo, but it's like an ability, and like he also can do all these other things like talk to animals. And so when people talk to animals like in the fairy tales, that's a different thing than talking to inanimate objects and having them capture you or whatever. And so when Goldilocks was talking to the three bears, and then when the pigs had the wolf and it blew down their house and they were talking to each other, but then that big bad wolf was with Little Red Riding Hood and actually talking to her as a wolf. And that's like demonic, because Nightwolf could actually like do that, but if there was other wolves doing that, it would be twice as worse if it wasn't Nightwolf. If there was a robot bird, it would be like a transformer. I mean, a transmission on a car that its fluid breaks. It's like a spine. If it was of a robot, it would have oil swishing around in it too. And if you threw a robot bird, like with the feathers being sheet metal, at a wall and it crashed or it hit the board, it would just be like the metal dented, and then like if their bones broke, a bone would be like some metal axle that they have, and then if that broke, you would see like oil spill out, you know what I'm saying? But with rappers, there's been 3 with X's in them. The most current one died. I don't know what his name was, but it was way before any of the COVID happened. So this was when mumble rap first was starting in the 2000s. He almost made it, but didn't quite. And then there's DMX, and he was like in a movie, so technically he's a movie star, no equal to Michael Jordan, who is in a movie. So is LeBron James about to be in a movie, and Dwayne Wade is doing game shows where he brings people in a cube, and then I guess his wife was a movie star too. And so the other X was Exhibit, and he actually had his he did make it in rap, but then he also had a TV show, so he clearly made it with voodoo. And they have their own religion, and they steal kids in Africa, and that happens, and they do stuff to them that like they disappear, and that's how they find their like religion. It's kind of paraphrasing, but I think you know what I'm saying. And so like when someone goes missing, and it could be in a movie like that, like that's inanimate objects being cursed, and that's what voodoo people do with dolls they want. So when you don't know that about electrons, stuff can happen in different realities. Where in the Page Master, this kid just got sucked into a bookshelf because he saw the ceiling spinning, and then he like ended up following these books and finding a dragon that almost killed him with all these other fairy tales. And what happened in the Nutcracker was this cursing of the guy walking backwards. All these dolls took Claire into like this doll land with, and she almost didn't make it back because she got caught in a war with rats and the Nutcracker dolls. And like those are 2 stories of inanimate objects almost killing like children, you know what I'm saying? So these data points with like realities, like something happens, like those 2 movies, the Nutcracker and then the Page Master, are scenarios where inanimate objects like take children hostage and almost kill them inside their doll land. And then the Page Master got into a cartoon land, no different than the Wizard of Oz, who got sent into a color TV for the first time. Like color vision on the screen was the land of Oz. An electron orbital has a data point, and it's infinitely small, is that it's found how to make its orb. The electronic orbitals of the electron are just like what, instead of a wave having a spectrum like this, would be a spectroscopy. So instead of having this, the electron just makes a shape of like its different orbs, and it has like 8 different orbitals, and it likes being 8 in a row around. That's its lowest state, is when it has an 8 electrons in one electron orbital. Then it can do data points that are like better for processing on 90-degree angles, because then it makes a chemical bond but can be also like has crystalline structures, and those are dangerous. This Drossfire was like part of the curse because the inanimate objects like took this like girl and her brother and like almost killed both of them. The guy who broke his leg walking backwards to like break a curse, he got cursed and he got turned into like a wooden doll, and that wooden doll was moving around when Claire opened it on Christmas because Drosselmeyer made it move around and stuff. First started, there was just a guy who was an alien and he walked backwards and then he broke his like leg on a nutcracker, and the nutcracker had like 3 things other than it being wood. Those 3 things are represented in data points in there, but this was the size of the nutcracker, and it was an inanimate object that came to life. Just like if you burn butter, there's like no nutrients in it anymore because the calcium has evaporated. So if you're just eating butter that has been burnt on something, it's almost nothing. The other thing that is everywhere is tobacco, everywhere on the ground. I made a stain over there and there's rust. And rust is a different form of tobacco if it is synthetically mutilated at that standpoint of the data points. Smallest form of a data point is an electron because it's like a atom electronic current that always is around it in certain shapes, because electrons have orbitals instead of a wave function, and so they just have these on everything that you see that is a material, and that means it's either an inanimate object or living. And if it's living, it's probably an animal, but there's roadkill everywhere, so it's hard to tell. Because that means that they could be chasing someone and you don't know what's going on because they'll just set up tape and then you really don't know what's going on. And so you don't know if someone's about to drop on the ground inside of the road because there's roadkill everywhere all the time. And there's actually even more things that are hidden, like dead bodies that people are trying to hide from cops as they run. So this is something that you have to consider when you see the data point of a policeman vehicle having its lights on and flashing. All the bits inside the spine of a stem cell of one single transformer robot. That's all the bits inside the microchip. Rangers would equal out their helmet to belt buckle in shape and design, and these poles are equal.
I'm gonna have more hats later on, man.
Oh, you saw me looking at that hat? I never saw a shirt.
Everything. I don't know
Your
what that
shirt
means.
is like a cross, but then you have a big back end. You're gonna have to turn gradual because that thing can whiplash and go out from the wrong side. Things are always complicated when the label isn't out correctly. Label out and follow the blueprint. The blueprint is don't hit anything that doesn't need to be hit, or else you can get touched upon for no reason. If there was a robot bird, it would be like a transformer. A transmission on a car that its fluid breaks. It's like a spine. If it was of a robot, it would have oil swishing around in it too. And if you threw a robot bird, like with the feathers being sheet metal, at a wall and it crashed or it hit the board, it would just be like the metal dented, and then like if their bones broke, a bone would be like some metal axle that they have, and then if that broke, you would see like oil spill out, you know what I'm saying? But with rappers, there's been 3 with X's in them. The most current one died. I don't know what his name was, but it was way before any of the COVID happened. So this was when mumble rap first was starting in the 2000s. He almost made it, but didn't quite. And then there's DMX, and he was like in a movie, so technically he's a movie star, no equal to Michael Jordan, who was in a movie. So is LeBron James about to be in a movie, and Dwayne Wade is doing game shows where he brings people in a cube, and then I guess his wife was a movie star too. And so the other X was Exhibit, and he actually had his he did make it in rap, but then he also had a TV show, so he clearly made it with And with different roles, it'll only happen to kids who've gone missing for no reason. That's why it's so dangerous when something goes missing. In the past, there's issues like that, and also in Uganda, there's Wicca. It's like